Hey guys, I'm Espen Kraft and thank you for tuning into my channel. Today we have this magical issue of Keyboard Magazine 1983 and I'm very excited to go through this issue with you today. So sit back, relax and enjoy the next 20 minutes. And here it is, Keyboard Magazine issue August 1983. That's 37 years ago. A nice in-depth interview with Thomas Dolby called The Golden Age of Synthesizers. You have a feature on Lee Curreri from Fame, and you can also win a EMU drum emulator. And also a review of the Roland SH101. This is a nice issue. And as always, during that time, Korg had the ads on the first couple of pages. And the Korg Poly 61 greets us on page 1, or is it page 2? And it's only fitting that I have this magazine on top of a Korg Poly 61 for this video. And the big thing in 1983 was, of course, the word digital, and digital goes a long way in 1983, and the ad is full of the word digital. Digital access and digital control is some of the phrases in this ad. And to the right here we have a Korg's CompuMagic. Can't say I've ever tried that one. If any of you guys have any experience with that, please say so. And we get to the features of this magazine. A lot of stuff going on in this issue. And I never noticed this before, but pay attention to the advisory board on this magazine at the time. Very well-known names as Wendy Carlos, I can see there, Keith Emerson, Jan Hammer, this was before Miami Vice, it was very well known before that as well. Elton John was on the advisory board for Keyboard Magazine in 1983. That's very cool. Oscar Peterson, a lot of famous names at the time in the piano keyboard industry. And here we have what seems to be a 7th annual Roland synthesizer tape contest. That's very cool. But it says to qualify you must be a professional synthesist or other recording artist, a musician, a producing, a recording engineer, etc. So this was obviously not for everyone to enter into this contest. If any of you has intel on that as well, please say so in the comment section. It'd be nice to know more about this this contest. And a lot of famous names in this jury panel as well. Ah yes, an ad for the Synclavier. And New England Digital announces exciting new Synclavier 2 options. A guitar interface, I can see, the digital guitar option, music printing, and my eye catches the sample to disk polyphony. And this was way before hard disk recording as we know it in today's DAWs, and being able to stream directly from disk back then with more than one sound at a time was a big thing, and it probably cost a house to do it. And here we have Lee Curreri. Anyone else remember Bruno Martelli from Fame? I watched Fame constantly on TV back then. I didn't know much about synthesizers at all. And reading through this feature now today, I'm, well, not shocked, but I'm pretty surprised to learn that there was only Yamaha synthesizers in Fame, because Yamaha donated a lot of stuff to the Fame production and they only used Yamaha synthesizers in Fame. I never knew that until I read this issue. Not so long ago. But Lee Curreri himself uses a lot of different synths, he says, in his home studio. Roland stuff, Oberheim's, and the Lindrum, among other things. A really cool article about one of the guys I really looked up to back then. I think he was so cool, sort of nerdy guy, the character, I mean, the Martelli, Bruno Martelli character. I really looked up to him back then, and I brought the Fame vinyl records and everything. That's a Yamaha CS80 on the pic to the left there, a little bit of the Yamaha CS80 which he uses in the show. The Electro Harmonix digital delay, 16 seconds of looping in 1983, that's basically a sampler. Michael Bodiger with a cool 80s stand, keyboard stand of course, and it's loaded with PPGs and emulators. And of course, there was a lot of sheet music in Keyboard Magazine back then. I learned a lot from trying and testing out those examples of notes and sheet music. Very cool. Copyright was starting to creep into the consciousness of every musicians back then. Sampling and what not to do with sampling and other stuff concerning the copyrights and how to lose copyright, how to gain copyright over a piece of music. The Yamaha DX ad to the left there, the DX had started to conquer the world, and all sorts of stuff related to the DX started to appear in ads. Moving on, a lot of text and black and white in this issue, Rhodes. And the paper quality is more thin than you have on magazines today. Dr. Click. Anyone has any intel on that? Can't say I ever saw it or tried it or heard about it. Don't know what it could do or how it sounded. Please say so if you know something. Goodman Music, North Hollywood. Huge selection of in-stock name brand keyboards we shipped the same day. Those little folders inside Keyboard Magazine where you could fill those out and subscribe to the magazine. And we have a feature on the 251 chord progression, very well known in the pop music world, and features on these types of chords was something I always read with a great enthusiasm. The microphones, Shure SM77 and 78, and an ad for the Yamaha DX9. $1,395 in 1983, that's a lot of money. Delta Lab, colorful ad this. But if I'm not mistaken, the icing on the cake comes now, because now we have Roland presenting its product line for 1987. 87? Yeah, they continue with the nice thing is it's available today. So this is Roland product line for 1983, and you have all the goodies here in that one picture. What a nice display. The Jupiter 6, Jupiter 8, MC202, System 100, Juno 660, JX3P, SH101. And the very interesting thing I can pick up here is what Roland says about the Jupiter 6. They say this is a 6-voice version of the Jupiter 8. So Roland themselves say this is a Jupiter 8 in a 6-voice polyphony, a slimmed down version of Jupiter 8. I know there's a lot of debate whether the Jupiter 6 is sounding like a Jupiter 8, but Roland says it does. Here's Thomas Dolby with a nice in-depth article on him, following the Age of Wireless release. And he speaks a lot about PPG in this article, and he likes it. But he likes a lot, and he is a pioneer of the early days. I actually also like a lot of the stuff he did with Prefab Sprout, which he produced. And here's the chance to win the EMU emulator, which I have, so I don't have to win it today. And here is one of the really legendary module synths with the breakout keyboard as well. The Octave Plateau Voyager 8. If you see, check out New Orders, The Perfect Kiss, you can see that in the beginning. And more colorful classic ads, the Oberheim DX drum machine, also $13.95, as well as the DX9 earlier. Classic sounds, and the Thomas Dolby interview goes on. A lot of text, a lot of fun stuff to read. I must say this issue here is one of the finest issues I've ever read in the catalog of Keyboard Magazine. I highly recommend you picking up this issue if you find it for sale. I'm lucky enough to have a near mint copy of this issue. Keyboard news. Is there something here worth mentioning? Probably not. Keith Emerson Inside Tracks. I can remember this because I think this was an ongoing thing where people could send in questions for Keith Emerson and he would answer. Things like, who takes care of your equipment now, and how would someone just starting out find a good technician? What equipment you have in your studio now, and why is it important for you to have your own studio? Very cool. Basic synthesis, learning the lingo. Check out the modular system there. You also had the Yamaha GX1, I believe. Was Gordon Reed after that at one time? I think so. Keyboard basics, relax in the D key. The working synthesis there, the envelope please. A nice in-depth explanation of how the ADSR envelope settings work. Organ workshop, keyboard journal. Practicing for a continuous melodic line, very important. If you want to make pop, and that's what I do. Service and maintenance, and replacing strings on the Yamaha Electric Grand. And we have the keyboard report. Gleeman Pentaphonic Clear. Can't say I ever heard about that one except for in this issue. And here we have the review of the Roland SH101. And I'll just skip to the conclusions, and they say that the SH101 is small and surprisingly inexpensive. It would make a great instrument for beginners as well as experienced players. Great punchy sound and some surprising features. That's cool. Price $495. Okay. And we have the MXR drum machine up there. Anyone try that? I have. I tried that last summer and I nearly bought it. It's very Lin-like. It has a lot of the same functions. Inbuilt faders, you can control the mixes of the outputs, but it has some flaws as well. I think one of them was that you can't change patterns on the fly. And the memory Moog, of course, that's very cool. Randall keyboard amplifier, never something I used. And here we have an ad for the Lin drum, of course. This is 1983 and the Lin is on top of the world when it comes to drum machines. It still is, perhaps. And well, more memory Moog. The ultimate sound of Moog, the ad says. And it probably was. And as the Lin, it still might be the ultimate Moog. Don't know if it's better or worse than the Moog 1, that's new, but this is vintage now. Back then it was new and fresh and expensive. I never had that, unfortunately. And more Delta Lab, digital delays. Ah, another classic synth, the new Prophet, the Prophet 600, going over 2 pages. Costing $1995. That was a lot. And well, on the back page, the Synergy's Digital Evolution. The Synergy is something I've never tried, but I've seen it in action. And that was Keyboard Magazine, issue August 1983. A fantastic issue, a lot of good things to read, and a lot of fantastic, nice stuff to look at. As always, I'm Espen Kraft. Thank you so much for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!